Hi everyone. Today we're going to be talking about productivity. Before we get started, a little bit on my background. I used to be a professional athlete, and over 10 years ago I had an injury which led to nerve damage in my right heel. The results of this is that it's very painful for me to walk or stand for long periods. Over the 10 years, I spent a lot of time in hospital. I had multiple surgeries to try and correct the problem, all of which failed. And between the time of surgery and waiting for hospital appointments and trying to rehab and heal, I became really depressed. I struggled to adapt, mostly because of all the downtime that I had. I found it very hard to make this time productive. Because the pain felt so unfair, it made it really hard to accept the situation. And so being motivated to move on and do other things was really difficult. Before we start, I just want to be clear about a few things. I really understand that motivation is hard. All of us want to be productive. The reason we're not productive at times has nothing to do with the classic snipes that get aimed around us. Oh, we must be lazy, or we should toughen up, or be strong. I want to be clear that I hate this kind of talk, and I don't believe in it myself. I think it makes it harder to be productive, not easier. It brings a lot of judgment. So I want to be clear that there is no judgment here. I have a lot of pride and respect for you for even watching. You're already taking a step to change things, and you should be proud of that. So well done. Breaking the cycle. Every time I had a new goal, something like a new round of rehabilitation after surgery, my first fear was always a fear of failure. My biggest worry is that I wouldn't succeed in what I was doing, and it wouldn't make anything better. So what's the best way not to fail? Don't try. Okay, give me a new goal. But with my new goal, I'd have again a fear of failure, and what was the best way not to fail? Don't try. And then I'd have a new goal, and you can see where this is going. We've found ourselves caught in a negative feedback loop. These loops are often at the root of the problem when you find yourself stalling, so it's good to look for them and be aware of them. And if you catch yourself in one, then we have to put steps in place to break it. Perfection is the enemy. The best thing we can do is start. It doesn't matter the quality or the direction we go in, it just matters that we start. I had an issue with cleaning my room, but I made a pact with myself to make a start for just 5 minutes a day. You don't need to worry about how to go about it, how good you clean, or even what you clean up. This takes away the pressure to get going, and over a week you'll have done 30 minutes of cleaning, and that's with a day off. These little small increments can build up to the mountains that seem so big to start with. That's why perfection is the enemy, and we have to start. Moving on slightly with an example, we should ask ourselves, are we baby elephants? No, I haven't quite gone crazy yet, but I'd like to tell a little story that's sadder than the video. Some elephants held in captivity from a young age are used to work pulling felled trees through the jungle. At night, to stop them wandering off or running away, their captors would secure them with rope around their legs. As babies, they wouldn't be able to break their rope, and so they'd still be there in the morning. But as full adult elephants, they're still secured every night with rope, which seems incredible, because an adult bull would easily be able to snap the rope round its leg and walk off, so why doesn't it? And it's because the elephant remembers that when it was young, the rope, no matter how hard it struggled, was unbreakable. And that's why, even though it seems hard, we have to push ourselves to try things again. We have to find out if we're baby elephants, and if the things that are holding us back were rope all along. I know for me, a lot of them were. Can we cheat? Are we able to put things in place to make it easier for us to stay motivated and be productive? Spoilers, yes, and we encourage it. The reason why is that it's much easier to avoid temptation than it is to resist it. One example of this is that in the morning, I would keep myself in bed playing on my phone, checking Twitter, going on all the social medias. making my day harder and just reinforcing that I didn't want to go out. One trick to rectify this is that I started going to sleep with an alarm set with something that wasn't my phone. I left my phone downstairs on the kitchen table, and that way I knew that I wouldn't get to check social media or go on YouTube until I got up, had a shower, and gone downstairs for breakfast. And just by moving my phone downstairs, I found that I got up and was willing to get up a lot more. I didn't have to try. I was cheating, but it was good cheating. Framing. Framing is the particular lens you look at something through, like a tint of your glasses. When I was injured, I really struggled with going outside. My body changed as I was unable to work out anymore, and I was embarrassed for my friends to see me. I became a person who didn't go outside, but that wasn't the truth. And here is the correct framing for what I was going through. Framing. I am a person who goes outside. I'm just finding it really hard at the moment. Saying this out loud breaks down so many barriers. It takes away that natural sticking point. So many of us are scared to find something hard, like we might not be perfect. But that's okay. It's okay that it's hard for you. It would be hard for anybody. Accepting this can really help you get over the sticking point, where your refusal becomes so permanent. It can break down the mental barriers that are stopping you from moving forward. With this, I accepted that I did want to go outside, and to do it we can apply some of the concepts we just touched on. But to go along with that, here are a few tips that also help me. First, make an exit plan. You can understand you have anxiety about whatever you're doing. For me, it was going outside. But you can still attempt it and give it a try. And if it goes wrong, you can cut it short. This is okay. We're building strength in this area, and we're not complete yet. The most important thing is to attempt it, and knowing you can leave at any time helps with the confidence and motivation to do so. Again, we're not looking for perfection. It's our enemy. So if you go out and you quit halfway through, then great. You get points for trying, not for finishing. I also had a lot of issues with being on time for anything. Getting out of bed was really hard. I was always late. And when I knew I was late, I wanted to go even less. I looked for little ways I could optimize my time. I would do little tricks, like making a list and identifying things I could do in a different order. One of the things I implemented was showering the night before, whilst I could do it in my own time. That way, if it mentally took me 3 hours before I could get into the shower, it didn't make any difference to the day tomorrow. I'd then go to sleep and be ready for the next day. I also did other things like laying out the clothes that I was going to wear ready, so that I wouldn't have to pick them in the morning. All of these things just helped give segments of time back to me and help me progress to getting over this hurdle. So what if it goes wrong? Well, it will. It did for me a lot. Just don't panic and don't self-hate. Remember that we accounted for this. Perfection is the enemy here. We're happy to go wrong. It's trying that's important. Try not to go wrong for 2 days in a row. For example, if you're on a diet and you cheat on it the first day, try to say, well, the next day, that's my day. But if it isn't, then the next day will be. As long as you're making an honest attempt, that's what counts. Remember, perfection is the enemy here. Another thing we can try is stacking a desired habit to an existing one. As an example, after I would watch Friends, I did 10 minutes of cleaning. And this was an important step because it helped bond the desired behavior to my natural habit. And yeah, I do watch a lot of Friends, so it really helped. Caution. What we're aiming for is a lifestyle change. You don't have to go at 1,000 miles an hour.
You do remember what happened to the little girl who tried too much too fast, don't you?
What?
She died, Jill.
Now that might be a bit extreme. I don't think we'll all die from this. But the more sustainable your progression is, the longer it will last for you. For an example, when athletes overwork, they can injure themselves, and this stops productivity. And this is an issue that I had a lot of the time coming back from rehab. As soon as the doctor said, right, you're cleared to go, I would rehab from the moment I got up till the moment I went to bed. And it ended up slowing down my recovery. My scars healed slower, which is why it's so important to be able to give yourself a break. You don't have to be so hard on yourself. You need some of this time off to continue to be productive, and it may even lead to better long-term results. Your starting point. I found it was best to ask myself 3 questions. 1, what do I want to achieve? 2, what would somebody need to do to achieve this thing? And then 3, am I doing these things? I really like those 3 questions, especially the last one, because I often found that I wasn't doing any of these things. And so as I fed back to myself wondering why I wasn't achieving anything, it was because I was doing 0 of the things that somebody would achieve this would do. So again, go back to these questions. What do I want to achieve? What would somebody need to do to achieve this? And then, are you doing these things? And I guarantee you, if you're answering yes to these questions, you're going to be doing very well. On a secondary note, with setting goals, you want to ask yourself, are my steps achievable? Because if they're not achievable, they'll be too far out of reach. And if we keep failing towards them, we'll slip back into that negative feedback loop that we discussed at the start, and we'll crush our own motivation. If we find a goal is too out of reach, try breaking it down into even smaller pieces so that we can continue to achieve and be motivated. And finally, progress. Progress is what we're here for. So however you get over the finish line, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you run there, if you're carrying somebody else, or even if you're crawling. It doesn't matter. Because every step you take along the way is progress.